Is your ASMR video too quiet? I think probably it is. And if you want to get straight to the solution, I've got bookmarks and you can skip this whole intro thing. But if you want to stick around for a little context here, I'm going to talk for a minute. Not everybody listens to ASMR to fall asleep or in a quiet environment or with like noise canceling headphones or something. Me, for example, I don't usually listen to it when I'm trying to fall asleep. Usually it's on a bus when I'm commuting to the office, or even I work from home most of the time now, but I've got a whole family at home and they can get pretty loud. Or maybe I'm at the gym working out and there's other noise outside competing with your ASMR video. And if your video is not loud enough, I'm just going to skip it because I can't hear it. The argument is you can always turn a video down, but you can only turn it up so loud. So you might as well have it louder. Even though ASMR tends to be a more calm, quiet genre, it's still okay to have a loud volume. And if someone doesn't like it loud, they can just turn it down a little bit. There's also maybe an argument to be made that if you're level matching with ads, they're not as shocking, because if someone turns down your ASMR video, say an ad at the end of your video isn't going to be as shocking. Not that we would ever have ads at the end of videos. And if I ever do, tell me it's happening. I need to make sure that doesn't happen. That's a side note. The argument I'm going to make here is that you use a limiter on your master channel for audio, and you try and make sure that your audio is between -12 and -6 dB on average for the whole video. I'm going to show you how to do that in the latest version of Audacity and in Reaper, which are two free or pretty inexpensive audio editing softwares, and then how to do it in Premiere and DaVinci as well, using the native plugins that just come in those. So let's just get right to it, all right? We are in Reaper, and this is a great audio editing application that's very low cost. $60 will run you 2 full versions. So if you buy like Reaper version 16, you'll get it up through 18, and it's another $60. But it also has a full demo, full access that you can just say you're still evaluating forever and ever. But I do recommend supporting the creators. This is a limiter called FGX2 by Slate Digital, and it might seem a little overwhelming at first. You don't have to worry about using this. I'm just showing it to you as a demo because it's got a really great way to visualize what's happening with your audio. Like I had mentioned in the intro, I do think that aiming for in between 12 and 6 is a solid goal. So let's turn up this overall volume. I think setting a ceiling to -3, which happens to actually be the most you can set a ceiling in FGX, is pretty good for ASMR. That's basically saying nothing's going to get any louder than that. As a reference, music for a long time has been -0.1. That's a little more common to see -1 these days, but -3 should be good for ASMR. I think a lot of people even set it to -6. I'm not too worried about trying to keep it that quiet though. What I'm going to do here is turn on constant gain monitoring, which is a unique feature to FGX, and it's going to allow me to increase the gain without it actually getting louder in your ears, so you can see what's happening without me blasting your ears out. So as I increase the gain, you'll see as I'm talking, I'm getting louder and louder, and we're kind of hitting that, it's a little hot, but if we go all the way up to -3, the limiter is going to start kicking in. And it's basically just going to go, nope, you get back down there. Nope, I'm going to shut you down. Get out of here. Bye. And if I turn this back down so that on average, we're hitting kind of in between 6 and 12, we're in a good spot. Now, I'm going to turn this down and then show you what it sounds like when I turn constant gain monitoring off. So as I turn this up, we're going to get louder and louder and louder, and you can see the limiter kicking in there. And you can also hear the fan from my MacBook getting louder as well. So I do recommend, if you're going to have a lot of background noise, I have other tutorials on noise reduction in both Audacity and using Isotope RX. Look into both of those. Now that you can see pretty clearly what a limiter is doing, let's look at the one that comes in Reaper. I'm going to switch to the master limiter, and you can see it's not nearly as pretty as FGX is, but that's okay. I do also want to just note, for the record, I am aware of the fact that my right channel is slightly louder than my left channel. My Yeti's just like that. I'm talking right into the front, and I fix it in post every time. So if you're seeing that and it's bugging you, I'm sorry, but I fix it in the edit. What we can do is go down to limit here. That's your ceiling in the limiter. We go -3, and then we can go to the threshold here. And this is kind of the same as turning up the gain that we just did in FGX. So you can see it's reading between -12 and -8. So we'll bring down the threshold until I'm more in between 6 and 12 on average. Let's keep going, keep going, keep going. And then if I ever get any louder, you'll see this reduction is going to kick in, and kind of like that red line, it's going to show you how much it's reducing the audio in real time. Now, what about all these other things here? For the most part, the only thing you need to worry about on a master limiter is the threshold and the limit, or the gain and the ceiling. Those are all kind of interchangeable. Once you've got this dialed in and you're hitting between -6 and -12 for the majority of your video, I think your audio is in a really good spot. I do also want to mention that the master limiter should always go last in your effects chain. So if you have echo, reverb, compressor, EQ, whatever, always put the master limiter last. Because if you put something after the master limiter, it could go above the limit that you've set. Now let's hop over to Audacity and check out what's going on over there. I'm using Audacity version 3.2, and they've added a couple of new features which are really cool, and I'm going to go over them in another video. But basically they've gotten rid of some of the destructive audio they've had in the past. I'm going to show you how to do limiting with destructive audio, or destructive editing, I should say. And then I'm going to show you how to do it using real-time effects, which is a fantastic feature they finally brought into Audacity. So the first thing is I've got to record myself talking. This is me talking, and I'm just going to keep talking because I need a certain amount of audio in order to demo a limiter in Audacity. So what we can do is select all, and then we're going to go up to effects. I think I've got it cut off in my screen recording, but you can see effect up there. And I have a lot of plugins that Audacity reads now. You might not have to scroll down as far. But we're going to go down till we find limiter. There it is. And I believe the default settings for it are 0, 0, and then -1. But you can change it to -3 to make sure the audio is never going to go over that. And then because it was coming in between -18 and 12, I think we can pretty safely pump up the volume a little bit. You can just do the slider, type in 3, and then yes might be on by default. I would say don't do makeup gain because we're trying to do this manually, and we're increasing the input gain there, so we don't need to make up any gain here. Let's go ahead and hit apply. There we go. That's a little louder, and it's never going to go over -3. So that's limiting using destructive editing in Audacity. Let's undo that limit and look at real-time effects over here. It's important to note that Audacity does not have a native real-time limiting plugin. I don't think they have any real-time native plugins yet. I don't know if that's in the future or not, but I do think that would be the next great update to Audacity. So for now, you'll need to go to their website, and they have some links to free limiters you can use. I'm going to use a really, really popular one made by Waves called L1. There we go. And you can click on it here to open it up. I'm going to drag this down to -3. That's where we want our ceiling. And then what I'm going to do is hit play, and I'm going to bring down the threshold until we're between 12 and 6 on average. This is me talking, and I'm just going to keep talking because I need a certain amount of audio in order to demo a limiter in Audacity. This is me talking, and I'm just going to keep talking because I need a certain amount of audio in order to demo a limiter in. All right, you can see it's still a little on the glitchy side. It was not smooth looking at all, but I did get it to in between 12 and 6 with a -3 ceiling. So we're pretty good there. And while you can't see the edit here, when you bounce it or export it, it's going to have that limiter applied. If you add more effects, always make sure your limiter is last in the chain, which in this case means the bottom. So if we add, let's see here, something like a high pass filter, we can make sure the limiter is on the bottom. But that's it. That's limiting in Audacity. Pretty straightforward. Let's go hop over to Premiere. We are now in Premiere, and I've just got an audio track down here. This is from an Android repair video I did a while ago. We can listen to it. So we'll go ahead. And we can see that audio is pretty low overall. So we can bring it up quite a bit with a limiter. So that we're hitting in between 6 and 12 with a cap at -3. So how the heck do we do that? We need to open up your audio track mixer. If you don't see it here, you can go up to Window and then audio track mixer, and then all of your audio tracks right there. You do need to hit this itty bitty tiny little arrow here, or caret, whatever you want to call it. And this is where you can add all of your plugins. And I think it's so wild that they hide all of that behind a tiny little arrow. And it's just not clear at all that that's where their plugins are. Since it's a limiter, I'm going to add it to the mix bus, not the individual channel A1. Because let's say I added some effects on A2, I wanted the limiter to affect everything, so it's going to be on the mix bus. And again, you always want to have it at the bottom of your effects chain. So since I'm not adding anything else, I can put it at the top. But if I had echo, reverb, whatever, you'd want to have it towards the bottom. So what we're going to do is go into amplitude and compression, and then we're going to go to hard limiter. You need to click on it up here. And here what we're going to tell it is max amplitude, that's your ceiling, is going to be -3. And then if we want to input boost it all, which we do because we were coming in pretty quiet, I'm actually going to boost it by 6 dB. And that's all you need to do. I can click on it, just type in a 6. And now let's play back and listen. Really, it looks like we can go up even louder. So I'm going to input by, let's go up to 9. 2. And put in my pocket. And overall, we're still pretty dang quiet. So let's go up to, let's go crazy. Let's do 15. Here. And we'll go to the other side over here. And let's, and there you can see it's capping it at 3. That's 1. And overall, our audio is louder. We can go up even higher, to be honest. But I would also add some kind of noise reduction to that so that the background noise isn't too loud, and probably some compression as well. That's adding a limiter in Premiere. It's really not too difficult. It's a lot of trial and error getting it where you want it. But that's it. If you have any questions about that specifically, just let me know. Let's move on to DaVinci. All right, and now we are in DaVinci. So now that I've got my audio loaded up here and ready to go, we're going to hop over to Fairlight, and then we're going to go over here, and audio 1 flows into bus 1. And if you had like audio 2 with sound effects, or you know, audio 2 and 3 with sound effects, and those were all feeding into bus 1, you want to put your limiter on bus 1. As a reminder, you want to limit all of your audio, not just portions of your audio, because a limiter is a mastering tool and you want it to be the last thing that's in your effects chain. So you're going to go to this plus sign here, and then we're going to go to Dynamics, Fairlight, and then Limiter. So this is the one that comes with Fairlight. If you had something like L1 by Waves, you could also get it through that menu as well. So let's go ahead and listen right here. That's 1. And this audio is pretty quiet. And here's I'm going to complain for a second here. If you've watched all the other sections in here, you've noticed that manufacturers use different names for the same thing. we saw that in FGX, the gain knob, increasing that was the same as decreasing the threshold slider in the native plugin in Reaper. And then we saw that the ceiling was also just called the limit, I think, in Audacity. And then in here, the threshold is the ceiling. So if you're confused about limiters, I wish everyone would agree on what's what, but we want to change this to -3. That's what we want our ceiling to be. And then your input here, input gain, is kind of the same thing as the gain in FGX at the beginning of the video. So we're going to increase this as a quiet clip. So we're going to increase it by quite a bit, and you'll be able to see it affecting here. That's 1. That's 2. If I go back here, you can see it reducing when the little ratchet's clicking. That's 1. And even at +18 for the input here, it's not that loud. So we would actually want to go and add a little bit more gain prior. You could increase the gain on the slider here, or by using an effect on the specific channel. But always remember, limiter goes last. That is limiting in DaVinci. Really not that difficult. But always remember, if we're looking for like a goal for ASMR for everybody, having audio kind of hitting that -6 to -12 on average, capping at -3. I feel like that's a really, really solid spot. So we're going to go to the outro now. I hope you found that helpful. Feel free to dig around my channel for any other tutorials. If you want to see a tutorial on a specific topic, just drop a comment and let me know. If you want to listen to my ASMR content, it's just me being weird in front of a camera, you can head to Bearded Audio ASMR. I almost said .com at the end of that, but no, it's just Bearded Audio ASMR. Just search that in YouTube, you'll find me. Anyways, I'll see you at the next one.